Welcome to a finished game experience of Stoneblock 2. This modded Minecraft pack took me 137 hours to accomplish from beginning to end. I hope you enjoy it. Stoneblock 2 begins with us having no tools and a series of quests to basically punch stone and build all of our tools, all of our resources out of the very cobblestone that we get. From cobblestone, we craft dirt. This will allow us to start farming and also to grow trees and get wood for our tools. Using a hammer from Ex Nihilo, we will break the cobblestone into gravel, the gravel into dirt. To get our saplings, we break dirt using a crook. From here we grow our wood that we need by pressing the shift key, which is dubbed affectionately twerking. From here, we'll construct the Tinker Station, along with the other stations we need to build moddable tools. This is known as Tinker's Tools. With this station constructed, we can then build tools by pieces. Each of these pieces have special properties that either make them better at mining certain ingredients, hit monsters harder, or have more durability before they break. To get most of your resources, we're going to have to sieve compressed pieces of gravel and dirt. To do this, we're going to build a sieve, and we have to put in a mesh in order to help sieve these pieces of terrain. These sieves can actually be enchanted to increase their efficiency, kind of like fortune on a pickaxe. Using a compressed hammer, we can then break pieces of compressed cobblestone or gravel, and then we can then recompress those things in order to get a bunch of loot all at once. That's not very much, but it's because we're using a string mesh. Once we upgrade it though, oh man, the rewards will become apparent. And here we get the flint mesh, which is an upgrade, higher chances of getting everything. After upgrading that, we'll go to an iron mesh, which is even better. As you can see, it's pretty lucrative even with just the iron, but we have one more upgrade to go with the diamond setup. To get the most out of our meager resources at this point though, we want to get a Quartz Grindstone, which will be able to double all of our ore chunks that we've gotten. So that is our first step in efficiency. So I'd like something nice and cozy for our first base, giving us a little bit room to expand here, but also room on the bottom in case we need to get down there for wiring in the future. And here we are, our first little Tinker program. Got all of our individual tool parts. We have room for expansion, and then our sieve works, the two major activities we're going to be doing. Looks nice, huh? To get water, we'll have to build a crucible. This will allow us to turn saplings into a renewable source of water once we make it an infinite water source. And just like that, we'll go ahead and make some clay using the water that we generate. But first, we need an infinite water source. Let's do that. So we just apply dust to water and we get clay. Easy. We're going to end up using lava for a lot of our power supplies in the beginning. A crucible is going to be able to turn all that cobblestone that we have into that lava. But first we're going to need some porcelain clay, and then we'll need to fire that in a furnace. Time to get more of that clay. While mining a ton of cobble isn't too difficult on this pack, it certainly would help if we had a lot more cobble to rely on. So, to do that, we're going to make a cobblestone generator, which when upgraded to different tiers, will make a ton of cobble for us, especially for converting it to lava, for breaking it down into gravel and sieving for resources. This is where the majority of our resources is going to come from, is the cobblestone generators. So, it's finally come time to expand our base for farming, storage, and power. Alright, let's take a grand tour here. We got storage first, which is where we're going to use a lot of our storage drawers. Looking good. Then we got our magmatics department. So I'd like to go ahead and get a proper farm going. We had that little small thing in the center there, but we really need to get some seeds and just a whole bunch of other good things going for us. So let's go ahead and build up a proper farm. Upgrading your mesh will allow you to get different kinds of seeds. Let's get this farm built. I'd like some grass, just in case we want to get some farm animals going. And a nice watering can will be able to help spread that. Thank you, thermal expansion. So hoeing dirt is going to allow us to get actually additions worms. Those worms will really speed up the growth of our farm. Cool. For our victory, we're going to go ahead and make some potato chips. Potato chips, as it turns out, are incredibly good for you in this game. At this point, I have my eye on automatic sieving. I'm really getting tired of just holding down right click. But before we do automatic sieving, we need something to power it. I figure with all that lava we're producing, magmatic dynamos from thermal expansion are a natural answer. Let's get that going. And I am so thankful that I have the bottom parts of these buildings done, because that is going to make wiring so easy to change in the future. And with hardened glass done, we can transport lava safely. Love it. And so here we go, some basic ore processing. We're going to get a pulverizer and a redstone furnace up and running. The pulverizers will take the ore chunks that we've gotten and double it. The redstone furnace will then bake them into ingots. So this will semi-automate our process of handling ore. I like it. To automate this process even further, we're going to make an auto-heavy sieve, which will take auto-compressed gravel, and then it will break that down for us. And then we'll just ship it off to the pulverizer and the redstone furnace. And that'll give us a lot of resources pretty quickly. It's a little expensive, though, for the resources we have, but it's worth it. Well, with all these new machines, that's putting a strain on our power production. We need to upgrade our lava. So to do that, we're going to build new heating elements. And we're going to get some uranium and build some blocks out of that. That'll increase the melting rate of the crucibles. And then we'll be able to build a lot more magmatic dynamos, which means a lot more power. It's going to be nice. Just because we upgraded lava production, though, doesn't mean that everything's just better. I want to upgrade our machines, including our pulverizers, our magmatic dynamos, and this will allow them to produce much more. The next thing we're going to need is soul sand and witch water, both of which are useful for both mob production and for AE, applied energistics, if we want a decent storage system. So we need some mycelium seeds to go ahead and pollute everything, and then have a piping system to get fresh water to be made into witch water, which can then be converted into soul sand and sieved into quartz. So as you guessed it, here we come AE2. We got to start making those crystals and processors, so let's go ahead and get a bunch of fluix crystals. We have to go ahead and build all the presses that we need for the inscribers. So let's get that done. They made it easy in this one. And so here we go, building our ME system with a bare basics of just storage, 4 1Ks and 1 4K. I should be able to hold most of what we have, though. And then that'll allow us to craft things much faster because then we can just click on a little plus sign and complete recipes real quick. So it's at this point that we've kind of outgrown our tools. We need something way better. We need better, digging implements. We need something that'll just last a lot longer, something that'll kill mobs easier. And for that, we need Tinker's Construct. So let's go ahead and get busy building that up. Here it is automated. Pretty easy. And I really loved these frames that I found, these aluminum brass frames. Awesome. There's all our tool parts. It's looking good. I'd really like something better than my little flint pick, so I think a hammer should do nicely for mining out these huge spaces and areas we need for bigger buildings. Alright, Emerald Electroalumite Hammer. Time to expand our sieving operations to include dirt, dust, and sand. But before we do that, I know I'm going to need a lot more power, so it's time to go ahead and get reinforced upgrades for everything. All right, this is a lot better. Wow. So here we go. Here's our dust, auto hammering and auto sieving and auto compressing operation. It's all just one nice neat line. And at the end, there's an ender chest that will transport all of our gains into our AE system. It's pretty damn awesome. We're going to need a massive supply of gravel, dirt, dust, and sand for our expanded operations. To do that, we have the highest tier cobble gen and all these storages. And it's at this point that we've kind of outgrown our magmatic power. It just can't keep up with everything we need. So we're going to build a big reactor, and we're going to build a cool room for it. This is a very efficient design where all the cores irradiate each other. With a high irradiated core, our fuel efficiency is amazing. And it just so turns out we have tons of diamond and emerald to make the casing very hot, which gives us even more power. Look at that power. Amazing. And so here's my simple setup for automating processors. Hope you enjoy it. I think it's relatively simple to set up. Of course, we're using the advanced subscribers. And we'll go ahead and set it to work and see the magic. And I'm tired of walking around here, so I want a jetpack. This allows us to quickly fly around and see the tops of all of our buildings. And I left them all roofless on purpose so that we can quickly descend and enter any of them once we did gain flight. Alright, hardened jetpack. Yes. It's about that time to upgrade our power cables. We need to take some flux ducts and fill them with redstone. In order to do that, we need a magma crucible and a fluid transposer. So this process is usually marking the entrance into the middle of the game power. Below base infrastructure is expanded as well, so we can easily upgrade all this wiring. I'm so glad I thought of that ahead of time. With access to this much power, we can afford to use one of my favorite blocks in the entirety of modded Minecraft, the Builder. The Builder is my all-time highest choice for automatic mining and construction of buildings. You simply give it a shape card or a quarry card. You can designate coordinates manually, or you can go right-click on two different blocks. It'll construct a squarish shape out of that. You can then tell it to carve out or build different shapes from there. It is amazing. I love it. Alright, let's give this builder a chance to show off what it's good at. So right here we shift right-click. And then we'll shift right click on two different squares. Usually you want to do it in opposed diagonals, and it can just mine out a massive amount of terrain and then build up structures in that area you mine out. This is so cool. I just love watching it mine away. Very fast. So I think we need to build a nice huge perimeter around us. Let's get crazy with the builder. It's also good at making mob spawners. Now let's go ahead and decorate the walls here. I want this entire world to be our construction. So we're going to use a nice chiseled factory plating. It'll look really cool. It has an awesome texture on it. By the way, this took quite a bit of iron. And the eye chisel makes this all so easy. Look at that, it's coming together. The ferro lanterns are also very useful in lighting all this up. So, let's go ahead and get ourselves a nice building for our mob spawning. We're going to go ahead and use our builder here to build the building. And then we need to use syringes, filled up by hitting the mob over and over to collect the DNA of the mob for the spawner to actually work. So let's build that RF Tools spawner. Get that all set up here. Get a bunch of mob loot like the Enderman, string, rotten flesh. And we build the matter beamers, of course, to speed things up and supply it with all the goodies it needs to make those mobs possible. First on my list is, of course, Enderman. Definitely need that. And then we kill them using a mob masher and vector plates. The mob masher has a high level of looting on it, and then we'll suck everything up with a accumulator and probably just dispose of all the trash loot that these things sometimes drop, but we'll get tons of pearls. This is really what we need for Indirium. So let's take some time out and build a nice ranch and house for our chickens. The chickens we'll need for the beginning parts of Project E, just to get things started, but it won't carry us all the way. That's okay though. And we'll get some chickens hatching in the little hatchery we have here. I do quite a bit of chicken breeding. The first thing I try to go for is the basic resource we need, like iron. Not too bad. We use Bottle of Time to greatly speed this up though, because it does take a long time. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and build a little farm here, because we're going to need a lot of wheat for cows later on, and a lot of seeds for chickens. Oh, looks like the builder kind of messed up there. I think I forgot to supply it with blocks. So I want to go ahead and build this like neat little automated farm. We're going to use the phytogenic insulators. Yeah. So here's something fun that I came up with on my own. I searched high and low on how to automate all Pam's Harvestcraft seeds, and I really couldn't find any advice on how to do this. So this setup here is going to use retrievers to retrieve seeds one at a time from a crystal chest, and that crystal chest won't replenish itself until it's all empty, and it'll deactivate some sensors. These seeds then get deployed to a phytogenic insulator one at a time, and then the chest will refill itself of all the seeds once it's empty using the retrievers. So it's pretty neat here. I really enjoyed setting this up, and it enabled me to grow everything with only one machine. So I hope you enjoy this. Here's my Pam's Harvestcraft kitchen, which just a nice little eat at Mal's diner thing here. Love it. It looks so cool with all the different foods and meats put into it. I really enjoyed building this. So I needed a more advanced AE network. Specifically, I wanted to have everything run over P2P networking. So here's a 128 channel setup. I'm pretty proud of this. It's an orange network, so all the regular AE2 stuff is run over the black, and P2P is orange. Here is the auto crafting chamber. Really like this setup here. This is where all of our metals are going to be made, such as Indirium, Signalum, everything that needs to be pretty much auto-crafted from, crafting recipes. Oh, and here's another one. I loved this idea. I want to build a teleportation hub where it will take you anywhere you want to go, to any dimensions that I visit. Of course, there's only a couple. And then I figured I might start putting roofs on things, so I wasn't sure, so I wanted to kind of leave those ideas open and just use a porter to basically take myself back here. So what you're seeing is these screens are from RF tools, and they can be made transparent by hitting them with the wrench. You can have, of course, different colored text on them, have bigger text. These things are just really neat. RF Tools mod is just amazing for what it does. I think it's probably my all-time favorite mod besides thermal expansion. I mean, builders, yeah, RF Tools is probably my favorite. Yeah, it's amazing in everything that it does. So one thing I've also wanted to have is a wireless Redstone control room where I could easily switch things on and off. And it actually came in really useful for this playthrough because my Tinker's area and the Ex Nihilo area, like, they produce a lot of resources, especially the Ex Nihilo area. Like, check this out. I mean, this thing can just pump out, 10,000 dusts of a certain resource, no problem. So I implemented it for that, and I was actually able to save my AE system more than a couple times from being overloaded. And I'm a big fan of just-in-time production for manufacturing, and this allowed me to have that. So the game starts to open up for us a little bit. We can do wither skeleton farming by putting skeletons into witch water, and those wither skulls will allow us to spawn the wither. Pretty nice. We're going to need a pretty powerful weapon to take on the wither, so I go ahead and make an Indium Laser Gun. This took quite a bit of resource finagling here, but it's all the best things that we have. The attack damage is not that great, but the fact that you only have to barely be able to see something and it shoots through solid objects, and it's upgradable as long as you have a higher comfort, level with it, it's just going to be a really good gun that I think will carry us through. So we go ahead and make a wither-proofed little room, and we're going to spawn the wither and take it on, see if we can kill it. I was a little unsure at this point whether my gun and armor would be that great, but I figure he'll hit his cage most of the time rather than me. So with killing the wither, that actually gives us our stars. And my goal at this point is to get into Project E so I don't have to keep killing these things over and over again. To get into Project E though, we need Dragon's Breath, which means we need to kill the Ender Chicken. So it's time for a long flight to the end. The Ender Chicken requires us to hit him with a chicken hammer to disable his shield, and then we'll spawn him in the end from like a ring of obsidian and diamond. At this point, again, I'm unsure if my armor is good enough or anything, or my gun is good enough, but let's take him on. Let's see how we do. We killed the wither pretty easily, I felt. This thing's pretty nuts, but he's definitely taking quite a bit of damage from our gun, so that's good. Alright. And at this point, I don't realize that, I failed to get Dragon's Breath. Whoops. So I go and I get the Dragon's Breath by right-clicking an empty bottle on his Dragon's Breath, his chicken breath. So that's one part of the puzzle done. However, in order to get the rest of Project E, we need fusion crafting from Draconic Evolution. The only way to really get Draconium is to go ahead and sieve a bunch of endstone. So we need to mine a whole bunch, and bring it back to our place, set up another line of sieving and hammering machines, and we'll get our supplies rolling. So let's go ahead and build our own little home for our Draconic Evolution building. Pretty proud of this one. Has some cool particle effects coming out of it. The power, it emanates. Draconic Evolution's fusion crafting takes a lot of power, and so I'm going to go ahead and build a couple energy cells upgraded to the highest of 50 million storage from thermal expansion. But if you enchant them, such as with holding 4, they hold 150 million. That is so huge. And that's going to help carry us through the fusion crafting we need to get done. To get to where we're going, we need Wyvern Cores. Wyvern Core crafting, as you can see here, very expensive. And here is our fusion crafting setup. I have everything kind of strapped to the roof, shooting down power and materials into the fusion core, where the catalyst is. And so here's what it looks like to perform fusion crafting. We're building the advanced injectors, the things you see on the roof here, those are injectors. We're building the next level of those, so we need to actually build like 10 more injectors, which are already pretty expensive. But the fusion process here looks pretty cool. Check it out. While we're doing all the fusion crafting here, I'm going to go ahead and start working on breeding the advanced chickens to boost our EMC. EMC is useful for duplicating items with Project E, but in order to get there we need to build a Philosopher's Stone. This will allow us to get everything that we need going for Project E. You need just shit tons of coal and diamonds for making this endgame material. So I'm really glad that I made these chickens here. It's just like thousands and thousands of coal. I think I need like 20,000. Yeah, here's the chicken setup I had just for that. They're just pumping them out. They're the 10-10-10 stat chickens. But all of our hard work pays off. We are able to get our energy condenser. The energy condenser is your first step, really, into Project E. You basically tell it, hey, make this item, which has an EMC value, and convert everything else that has an EMC value into that item. This is your first, step into duplicating items. It's amazing. So to show you what all this hard work really was about, let's take our dragon heart, which is really hard to get. We had to go kill something pretty hard to kill, and it would be a pain to farm it over and over. And we can take chicken diamonds and just go ahead and duplicate a crap ton of this item from it. It's amazing. And it was extremely useful for the later parts of the game. Alright, welcome to the late game of Stoneblock 2. We're going to make the extreme crafting table. And extreme crafting, it's extreme. It takes all your resources. Everything that we've got so far, if it seems like I have a lot of resources, forget it. I don't. I have nothing. So, in order to do a lot of the extreme crafting, you need an immense amount of resources with a complicated design pattern like this. Luckily, you can still use the plus button if you want to. I set everything up by hand and discovered the plus button down at the bottom right-hand corner later on. Oops. So you set this all up, though, and we're going to build Neutron Collectors, which collect tiny piles of neutrons, and they're used for pretty much all the late-game materials. We need a lot of EMC to build these neutron collectors, so we double the size of our diamond hatchery. And to try to speed things up here, I build an imaginary time block. Unfortunately, I find out too late that it only affects plants. So it is not useful for affecting chickens or neutron collectors. And it's just been about a couple hours here, me gathering a bunch of diamonds, and I discovered the emeralds are a lot better, a ton better. So we convert all of our hatcheries here to emerald production. And the neutron collectors definitely need to be sped up, so I craft 64 of them. This is going to be so cool. We're going to really hit this late game hard. Let's build a cool neutron collector farm. Yeah. So we want these neutron piles to go ahead and be automated here. We'll set up a little chest system, collect them all while we're waiting. Man, this is going to take forever. Each one of those little piles gets converted into a nugget, and then to an ingot, and then to a block. So that means we need even more neutron collectors. Let's get that started. Have a whole shit ton of emeralds. So after some researching, because it's taking quite a while for those neutron collectors to collect all those tiny piles of neutrons to make into little nuggets, and then to make those into ingots, which are what we actually kind of use most of the time, and then into blocks, we find out that the pedestal from Project E and the Watch of Flowing Time is able to affect them. This brings them down from a 6-minute spawn time to a 1 minute. So it's an enormous factor in production. And here is our upgraded farm. Oh yeah, look at all that good stuff. So since we already did a bunch of chicken farming, I go ahead and make an awakened draconium chicken, which is the next part of our draconic evolution crafting. Now if you were to make the blocks of these, which is the only real way to make awakened draconium, it would cost you 350 million RF, which is, you know, just a lot of power, and I don't want to do that. It's just easier to do the chickens. To get to the last cores that we need, we're going to fight the Chaos Chicken. Now, the Chaos Chicken is pretty damn hard. It's the hardest fight in the game, so we're going to need some really good armor to fight him. So I'm going to go ahead and make the Wyvern Armor, and then we're going to upgrade to the Draconic Armor. The Draconic Armor requires Draconic Injectors, so that means, yep, we need a lot more injectors here. Luckily, we can automate this process by applying Redstone. The Draconic Armor will also require Draconic Cores, which we need to fusion craft first, and then we can just EMC it. And so you only have to make it one time. Alright, here we go. We can upgrade into Draconic Armor. That's going to give us a lot more shield strength and survivability upgrades. And then we're going to need to upgrade this armor to have bigger shields with faster recharge. This takes some diverse ingredients, but nothing too crazy. And I figure after we upgrade it to Wyvern level here, it should be pretty good. You know, give the Chaos Chicken a chance to show us what it's made of. Well, I'm feeling pretty good about all of our armor being upgraded at this point. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was mistaken in thinking that Draconic Armor could be enchanted. I know in some older mod packs it was. So I built this enchantment room, which looked pretty cool, but my weapon and my armor can't be enchanted, so that's alright. We'll just give it a shot the way it is, this boss fight. Alright, so Chaos Chicken, attempt number 1. My goal here was to kind of build up a fortified area with a teleporter, everything being nice and neat, and then just go ahead and take them on. We're going to use the really good golden apple, which gives us resistance, which is 20% reduced damage. I was figuring that would give us all the stats we kind of needed along with our Draconic Armor. Let's see how I do. Well, that went pretty well. In fact, he killed me so much that I had to turn on peaceful just to get my items back, and I couldn't afford to lose everything. So, unfortunately, I had to do a little finagling here, but we get everything back, and we'll try again. For my second attempt, I was thinking that a honeycombed complex of wither-proof blocks with a teleporter in the middle would allow me to kind of take pot shots and hide in a protected building. And if I died by like, some sort of area of effect, that I could at least go back through my teleporters. And my teleporters, I mean, they look pretty protected, I feel like, right here. Let's see how the fortress tactic does against him. This turned out to be a pretty long fight of about 7 minutes long, so I've sped up the video here just to kind of be considerate of your time. So hopefully it's not too crazy fast, but it's also a pretty nuts battle. And unfortunately, as I step out here, I phase back into the mining dimension, so we have to dig right back up into the end. And I spawn on the outside of my fortress here and try frantically to get back inside. His breath is capable of destroying wither-proof structures, as you can see, so my teleporters are just toast. But we're dealing some good damage here, and I have to hide out several times underneath my structure. As you can see, my entropy is like way up. I get, oh man, just so close to death. It's just a crazy fight. My shields hold though, but if my shields ever dropped, I'm sure I'd just be dead. And again, there I fade right back into the mining dimension. Holy crap. Oh man, what a fight. I'm trying to like reconstruct my little fortress here just to get something to shield me back from him. Oh man, it was a scary fight. I was just holding on the whole time. But my weapon felt good. I could have dealt some more damage, I guess by re-upgrading the gun, but it did its job. It wasn't like it was like an agonizing process here. Here we go, going in for the kill. And so as I do, the game doesn't really give me my achievement, for killing him. I was kind of sad. I didn't know if that was because like I actually spawned out to the dimension, but I got the drops. And I guess that's kind of all that matters. So you better believe the first thing that I do is EMC that chaos shard so we can have as much of that as we want. So at this point, I'm able to enter into the real world of Project E, and we make ourselves a transmutation tablet. This allows us to teach Project E any item that has an EMC value and then duplicate it, as long as we have enough EMC. So this is what Project E is really all about right here. Yes, that's a big victory. So we're nearing the end of the pack, and I'm going to start trying to go for infinity ingots. That's kind of the end of the pack, is just to produce those. There's a couple challenge items and everything, but really that's it. So with our upscaled emerald production, we make emerald singularity, which is really important for making the infinity ingot itself. However, it's at this point that after I do all the singularities, I realize the scope of what we need to do for the infinity ingot. It's 37 billion EMC. I mean, we can farm emeralds all day long. I'd have to leave my computer on for like a day and a half to get that much EMC. So we need something else. So I reached this conclusion after playing for like a couple hours and kind of upgrading parts of the base. I saw, man, I only have 5 emerald singularities after playing that long, and I have like a pretty good EMC farm for chickens. I need something else. So I was like, okay, we need infinity cows. That produces the infinity ingots automatically. Let's do it. So we have a simple 3x3 grid going on. Cows that we're breeding go on the outside, and on the middle tile, like right here, we have pink slime. That's what we're trying to breed, so we put all the pink slime there to concentrate the populations. So here's gold, tin, and iron cows. Molten steel to stabilize redstone. Molten demon metal. Dark steel, night slime, and energized silver. And we start getting deep down into the tech tree here. Resonant ender, melodic alloy, and vivid alloy. These things took quite a while to reach, and we're almost to the end. I'm pretty excited at this point to reach the infinity ingots. However, this is where Stoneblock 2 as a pack began to break down. Consider this. I had been farming chickens, and chickens weren't good enough. I then arrived at the conclusion that infinity cows would be the answer, and they are. In a large way, you can get 2 infinity ingots and make balanced clay, and then from there make infinity ingots through the EMC process. But there's a problem with all this. As you can see here, I am quickly advancing through the cow tech tree, and that's because the designer thought it would be a good idea for cows to have breed times of excess of 30 hours for infinity ingots before you could breed another one. I mean, that's just you leaving your computer on. So here you see the ridiculousness of me turning all those breed times and spawn times down from their normal 30 minutes and hour-long wait times to about 10 seconds. And I just race through the rest of the cow tech tree. Here's the other thing. I don't mind an obstacle being thrown up in my path. Obviously, okay, chickens aren't good enough. Fine. We'll start over an entirely new tab using another resource, another part of the project that I haven't been using. Cows. Cool, I can get infinity ingots. But cows then take a long time to breed. Again, I'm like, that's fine. There's got to be a solution. So I look through duplicating mobs. It's okay, maybe I can just duplicate a bunch of the mobs instead of breeding them. Nope, there's no way to duplicate mobs. I look through all the spawners. I look through making my own custom spawners through Draconic evolution, through custom making them with dragon's eggs. Nothing is there. I'm like, okay, what about the watch of flowing time, imaginary time blocks? Something's got to work to accelerate the tick time, or the reduce the time it takes to breed them for them to produce their resource. Like chickens, they're affected by it. Nope, they all have been disabled to be affected by things that accelerate tick time or reduce breeding time. So here you can actually see me looking in the config files for evil metal. I mean, look at these numbers. These numbers are just ridiculous. Infinity itself takes 136,000 seconds, which is approximately 37 hours of waiting just to breed it. That's wrong. So I decided to reward myself for working so hard on this pack and getting these resources here. I introduced to you the Fountain of Infinity. Here we have 183 buckets of molten infinity. We can pretty much build anything in the entire game that we want. So I build a cool looking voidstone building to enjoy the end of the pack. I love the way this building turned out. All the curved insides, the flowing molten infinity. And then here we go. Booyah, our reward. Yes. Infinity ingots galore. And of course the texture's bugged out. Damn it. Still, it's cool. Let's make infinity ingots. So we're going to go ahead and pour everything in here and then just have everything condensed down into whatever the hell we want. Tons and tons of infinity. I'm 130 hours deep at this point, and I have built a lot. I have done a ton of different mods. Most of them tech, but we branch out some cool endgame stuff. So I really hope you've enjoyed this playthrough. I'm going to do one more tour of my base just so you can see everything, all the different structures. Some things got more screen time than others. and just kind of reminisce of where we've come from. I'm just really surprised I fit, you know, this much experience, you know, in such a small video format, but at the same time, it's cool. You know, this really is going to be something I look back with a lot of pride on for many years. This one video. Doing a mod pack has always been my dream. And it's interesting. You start off with these things thinking, oh man, they're so huge, like there's so many things you can do, but then you get into it and you're like, oh well, 3 of the tabs are kind of redundant. They're like all resource generation. And at the end of the pack here, when I switched from chickens to cows, I thought, ah, okay, the cows are meant for the end. And in a way they are. If you left your computer on, if you were playing on a multiplayer server, I guess it works, you know, because you would just leave things on and gain infinite resources anyways. You come back and you're like, oh, no worries, you know. I mean, if I'd have left my computer on, you know, for like probably like, you know, 2 or 3 days, I probably would have had enough emeralds to where I could have just built the infinity ingots without even doing the cows. But I was really wanting to play the game, you know, not just abuse it because I could leave it on and succeed. I mean, that's not fun. You know, that's not what I wanted. So I want everything you see here, all the resources I've gotten, none of it's from AFK crafting. It is all 100% me being at my computer trying to get the resources to move forward. And it's been enjoyable to play this way. You know, I regret that I had to turn down the, you know, the breeding cooldown of the cows, you know, but hey, mod pack designer, whoever did this, like, learn your lesson. Like, that's no way to treat your players. You need your players to be engaged 100% through the mod pack. I think towards the end of a mod pack, it becomes difficult to judge, well, just how much resources will they have access to. And I think they could have done a better job on that. But the beginning of this mod pack and the middle and even the late game here, like the early late game, it was great. This mod pack is beautiful. I experienced no crashes besides using Bottle of Time on like thermal expansion machines. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with the end of game stats from the leaderboards. And I'll catch you on that next one. There's finished game experiences.